everyone, I'm Lindsay Taylor. Congratulations on becoming a mortgage loan originator. You're one step closer to helping people reach their goals. Whether it's purchasing a new home or refinancing their existing mortgage, you're in the perfect position to help them. Now that you're mortgage licensed, we want to equip you with the knowledge and confidence to go out and make a difference. Today, I'll walk you through how to complete the Primerica mortgage application and provide some helpful hints along the way. Keep in mind, you can do as many practice applications as you want, and we encourage you to get comfortable with the various scenarios you may encounter at the kitchen table. Before starting an application, a handy tool to use is the complimentary mortgage review. This review will not only help your clients in deciding what their goals are, but will also provide a list of required documents that will help speed along the application process. Without gathering these documents ahead of time, the application process will take longer. You can find this document on POL if you click Products, Mortgage Loans US, Training and Product Training. The mortgage application has two portions. The first part is the Primerica application, which ends with registering the loan to Rocket. The second part of the application is what we call submitting the full package. In this video, we're going to focus on the first part of the process, which is done in the Primerica Mortgage Portal. Let's go ahead and get started. Once you've logged into POL, your first step will be to go to the mortgage page by clicking Products, Mortgage Loans US. Once on the Mortgage Loans page, click the Primerica Mortgage Portal under Quick Links. As you can see, the pipeline screen shows any loans that you've started. You can work with your home office processor or area sales manager on the best way to customize this view. To start a new loan, click Create Loan at the top of the page and select New Application. Start filling in the information for the primary borrower on the loan. And once you're done, click Create Your Account. At this point, your client will receive an email instructing them to create their Primerica Mortgage Client Portal to sign their disclosures. Hold off on them creating that just yet, and we'll take care of that as soon as the disclosures have actually posted. Next, make sure to complete the acknowledgement and authorization screen. Anytime you see the red box shown here, that shows you something that you need to read to your client out loud. Once you've completed all the questions on this page, click Next. On this screen, you'll need to select if this is a purchase loan or a refinance loan. In this example, we're going to show you a refinance loan. Once you select the option you want, additional questions will appear asking about the property and if this loan is an FHA or VH loan. Complete these questions and then click Next to move on. Next, you'll be asked about your client's marital status. If the client is married and will be applying with their spouse, you will need to enter in the co-borrower's information. Remember, they will also need to create their own client portal account to sign disclosures. For today's training purposes, we're going to use an unmarried person and answer the unmarried addendum question and click Next to move on. The next question is asking if there is a co-borrower. If there is, then click Yes and complete the applicable questions. Again, for this training, we're going to keep it simple and just say no. Continue filling out the questions on the application about the borrower and the property. Just a reminder, even though it does say your birth date or your social security number, make sure you are putting in your client's information and not your own. At the bottom of the page, make sure you read these authorizations out loud to your client. On the next page, you may need to enter in the property type from the dropdown. Once you're finished, click Next. Your client's credit report will now be pulled. This process only takes a few seconds, and once it appears, you can view the full credit report by clicking on the button on the right-hand side that looks like a document. If you do click on that document, it will open in a new tab. Once you've reviewed it, go back to the tab with the application and click Next to continue. Just a note, while we do show all three credit scores, the lender typically only uses the middle score for the application. Now we're on to the portion of the application where you're verifying the information pulled from that credit report. I'll quickly guide you through each section and point out some best practices along the way. The first section is the current expenses for the property for which we're doing the loan application. If you need to update any of these figures, particularly hazard insurance and real estate taxes, which are just estimates, do so now. Once you're finished, click the Next button. You'll need to verify 2 years of employment history for your borrower in this next section. Select their employment status from the dropdown and answer the additional questions that appear, including the employer's address and gross monthly income. 2 quick notes on this section. The phone of employer should be the main number and not the employee's direct number. And if your client has a second job or hasn't worked at that position for 2 years, you'll want to add those additional details in as well. Once you're finished, click Save to continue. We'll ask one more time if there is any additional income to report, such as alimony or child support on this next screen. Once you are done with this section, click Next to continue. Real estate own is the next section to complete. The property your client is either purchasing or refinancing should appear here. Double check to make sure everything is accurate. If they own any additional real estate properties, click Add New Real Estate Own to enter them in here. Once you are finished, click Next to continue. The third section is assets. If you're originating a purchase loan, you will need to add them by clicking Add New Asset and completing the questions that appear. Great news for refinancing clients, you do not have to enter assets into the application unless asked later during underwriting. Once you're finished, click Next to continue. The next section is liabilities. You'll see any liabilities that are pulled from the credit report. You'll need to report what will happen to the existing mortgages in the drop-downs shown. Lower on the page will list any liabilities pulled from the credit report. Double check the monthly payments and the balances. If there is a liability that is missing that wasn't on the credit report, such as child support or alimony, simply click Add New Liability at the bottom of the page and enter the information. If your client is doing a cash out refinance and using the money to pay off a debt, click the Pay Off Debt box next to the particular debt. Remember, in that scenario, to be sure to go back and check the loan to value ratio. You can do this by clicking on the blue file icon at the top of the page. Remember, the maximum loan to value, or LTV, for a cash out refinance is 80%. Click Next to continue, and you'll be completing the declarations portion of the application. As a reminder, make sure you read any of the red boxes out loud to your client. Once you are finished, click Next to continue. The next section is verifying FHA or VA status. There is nothing required to be entered on this page. Simply scroll to the bottom and click Next to continue. This is nearing the final section of the application, which is to verify the loan amount. This is the 6th and final piece of TRID data you collect. Once the TRID application is initiated, the loan must be registered with Rocket Mortgage by the next business day. If there are any additional closing costs or cash out amount that the client is requesting, be sure to enter them in here. Make sure you review if closing costs should be included in the loan, and then click Next to continue. Review the page to make sure everything was entered correctly. If you need to go back and edit anything, click on the pencil icon to update. Once you're ready to submit the loan application, click Submit Request. As the loan application is being prepared, the loan is now being priced based on your client's individual scenario, including their credit score. Once the application is prepared, click on the product your client wants to expand the pricing options for that loan term. A few best practices on rates to remember. You can offer a range of rates to the client. We recommend finding the par rate, which is typically the number in between the red and the green seen here, which requires the client to bring little extra to the table at closing. Any rate lower than this par rate, and the client will need to pay the amount in red at closing. Any rates higher than the par rate, and the client may get a credit at closing, shown in green. Click Choose Rate on the rate you and your client agree upon is the best option for them. After choosing the rate, you'll see the loan details and summary section. It will explain the total monthly payment amount, closing costs, and fees. Once you're done reviewing the information, click the little X icon and then click Continue to Disclosures. A copy of the disclosures will appear on the screen. The clients will have to sign these in their Primerica Mortgage client portal. We'll show you that in a minute as well. For now, click Continue to Registration, Rocket Pro Portal button. After you click that button, you'll see a pop-up acknowledging Rocket Pro Loan Submission Standards. Once you read this page, click the Continue button. You'll now be transferred over to Rocket Pro portal to finish registering your loan with Rocket. Remember, this registration process must be completed within 24 hours of collecting the 6th piece of TRID. So now is the time to have your clients pull up their Primerica Mortgage email and click Login to create their Primerica Mortgage portal account. They can quickly create their account and sign the disclosures. Now, these disclosures must be delivered to the client and signed at the time of application. If the disclosures aren't signed, you'll run into delays later in the loan submission process and the loan will be out of compliance. Remember, if there is more than one borrower, each client will need to do this process. It may be a good time to give your clients a heads up that there will be another client portal with Rocket later on, and they will need to sign additional disclosures in the Rocket portal as well. Teammates, thank you for your time and watching this video today. We hope you found it helpful as you get started with your first Primerica mortgage loan. It may seem like a lot of steps for your very first loan, but like we like to say in Primerica, you are in business for yourself, but not by yourself. We have a whole team of amazing loan processors at the home office that you can contact, or your area sales manager. Their contact information is on that Primerica mortgage page under Primerica Contacts. Thank you guys, and we'll see you at the top.